It was March 21st. Another Persian New Year had made its way to us. Street filled with glowing faces, most certainly excited to see what auspicious events would bless them in the year to come. Families, friends, strangers, all rejoicing together, no matter what differences may be, celebrating the way Iran knows best. At the time, I was thinking how unfortunate I am being 3 hours away from my home in a rural area hospital. I solemnly watched my colleagues leave to go enjoy the sweets and smiles of the New Year's Eve. I sat in the physician's lounge by the window. A beautiful blanket of snow covered the streets of the town, and as the white snow so effortlessly fell to the ground, I was gazing at the dark skies that would soon fill with robust colors, and I couldn't help but think how badly I wanted to be home and not here. I thought perhaps calling my friends and family to wish them a Happy New Year would help, and it did. Hearing their excited voices, though made me long to be with them more, it also elicited a sense of gratitude of actually always having my support system cheering me on. As I lay on the semi comfortable on call bed, contemplating what new adventures lie ahead, my thoughts were suddenly startled when my on call phone began to ring. It was one of her midwives, her voice full of helplessness. Dr. Farshidi, we have a 35-year-old female who had been in labor for 24 hours. She delivered the baby but has a retained placenta and is bleeding profusely. The family is unable to bring her to the hospital due to unrelenting snowfall. We will send her ambulance now. The thought of this woman stranded in an area where no medic was present, bleeding half to death, made my heart sink. I knew very well that she would breathe her last breath before the skies lit up with the fireworks celebrating the year she was supposed to live raising her newborn. The next thing I knew, I was on the ambulance reciting tiny prayers to make it to her in time. My heart was doing somersaults, and with each bump on the road reminding me how much my superiors tried to stop me owing to the severe weather conditions. I could feel the driver pushing down on the brakes, skidding across once what seemed a beautiful blanket of snow, stopping then and starting up again. My fear was rising. Is this it? Is this how it ends? But I knew at this point what mattered. One thing, and one thing only. As I clutched the units of blood, I whispered to myself, I have to make it to her. After a painful 3 hours, we arrived at the small health center where the patient was. The pungent smell of blood was apparent from entrance of the building. My heart began to sink a bit more. I ran inside to find a young, feeble woman laying on what seemed like a bed, pale, exhausted, and lethargic. I stared at her, my eyes full of hope and despair, all at the same time. The words, I'm Dr. Farshidi, I'm here to help you, stumbled out of my mouth. I have to deliver your placenta manually. It's going to be painful, but it's the only way. Her tired eyes, what seemed semi-lifeless, body looked at me, and her dry lips parted and breathlessly said, my baby. At this point, there were streams flowing from my eyes, but I knew that this was not the end. Gowned and gloved, I said my prayers, and I was more determined than ever I had been in my entire life. I successfully removed the placenta. The severe uterine atony had my hands working like a machine, but I still knew that this was not the end. And after 6 grueling hours of uterine massage, hope began to fill the room in the form of sun rays arising from the horizon. Both the mother and the newborn were transferred to the hospital. They survived and went on to living the life they were meant to. It was the first day of the new year, and I had no idea that it would be preceded by such a life-turning event. A story that will have forever changed the perception I have worked of hard work, determination, and faith. Perhaps we should remind ourselves that as physicians, our sacrifices are merely a means to save the endangered, heal the sick, and comfort the dying.